I'm praying for a speedy recovery too, because mama is tired. I'm a single mom, 3 kids, 3 jobs, because kids are freaking expensive. So maybe I'll hit the lotto. Maybe I'll hit the lotto and then I could stop working and rest. But yeah, so I had somebody ask a question. It's a very good question. They said, if you didn't have $5, why are you trying to figure out who to pay rent to? That's a good question. It's because my church was going to pay the rent. So my church wanted to make sure that me and the kids were taken care of. That includes paying the car payment. That includes rent, all of that, because they wanted to make sure that me and the kids were safe while they tried to figure out what was happening. Because the church at this time was trying to scramble to figure out what the hell is happening. They don't know what's happening. They're trying to figure it all out, just like me and the kids are trying to figure it out. So they're working on their end to trying to like talk to people and figure out what exactly this man has done, because it didn't make sense to anybody that like our home was raided that way and that he was extradited by plane out of from like Las Vegas to Calabasas on his own by himself, escorted the whole way. Like something felt very off about this with everybody, and they didn't realize like that I didn't know anything. And so when they started talking to me and realized like I think we have a bad situation on our hands, they started to panic and try to do like damage control the best that they could. So they want to make sure that me and the kids are taken care of. Okay, so we're in California and he says, we're going back to Las Vegas. I'm like, are you allowed to leave California? He says, of course I am. And I was like, okay. So we go back to Las Vegas. When we get to Las Vegas, he says, we're going to drive in. I'm going to close the garage door and then I'm going to get out. You do not tell anybody that I'm here. You do not call anybody and tell them that I'm home. I am here, okay? But you do not tell anybody. And I was like, okay, of course. And he was like, I just have to call my doctor. So he had this doctor that he went to go see regularly. And the Attorney General's office apparently knew about this doctor and had gone to like bust the doctor for something. Because my ex was like forging documents in the doctor's name or something like that. So they'd gone to the doctor's office. I didn't know any of this at this point, okay? So this is like after knowledge. But he says, I need to go see my doctor. And I was like, okay. So he's like, I'm going to make an appointment for my doctor. He's going to be the only one that knows I'm here. I'm like, okay. So he calls and makes an appointment for the doctor. And when he calls and makes the appointment, I vividly remember thinking something's off. So he calls and makes the appointment and he's on hold for like 30 minutes trying to make this appointment. And I was like, that's so weird. Usually they're like super quick. He's like, I know. And I was like, that's weird. And they made it for like the next day or the day after. And so he was in the house. Like, I was not allowed out of the house. He didn't go out of the house. We were all just trapped in the house together. Like, me, my kids, him in this house. And he started, like, having these episodes where he would, like, wander the house. And he would tell me, like, you should probably try to get out. You don't know what I'm going to do. And I didn't know, what that meant, because he wouldn't let me go. So what do you mean I should try to get out? Like, I'm not allowed to go anywhere. And so it was very confusing. And I kept asking, like, you didn't do this, right? Like, what they're telling me that you didn't do it, right? Like, you didn't steal money from the government. And he's like, no, but I know who did. I know who did steal money from the government. And he starts naming this person that we knew that he said was stealing the money and framing him for it. And I was like, okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense. So I was like, well, why don't you just tell them that you're being framed? And he's like, because they won't believe me. And I was like, well, if you tell them and you show them the evidence, they'll believe you. But like, everything started to get very confusing for me at that point. Like, he's manic, he's confused, he's telling me that he's innocent, but at the same time he's telling me that I need to get out, and like, I don't know what to do. I have these babies, I have nowhere to go, I have no money, I have no resources, I have no family. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it was the day of his appointment, and I was upstairs, and before he went to go leave, like an hour before the appointment, he gets a phone call, and they tell him that the appointment's been canceled, and so they have to reschedule. And so he comes upstairs, he's like, my appointment got canceled, so they're gonna have to reschedule. And I was like, that's so weird, I don't know. And so we're sitting there, and then like at the appointment time, like literally like a little bit later when it's time for the appointment here, again, and I was like it's happening again. And I was like, no. So I like look over for him. He's gone. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And they're like on the door. And I was like, and so he's nowhere to be found. My kids are in their rooms upstairs. And I was like, they're going to bust down my front door. And they are banging louder and louder. And I was like, I have to go answer this. So I run downstairs and I answer the door, and it's the investigator, and then there's a whole bunch of people with guns behind him. And I was like, what is happening? And then he's like, is he here? And I was like, yes. Like, what are you doing? Like, why didn't you just call? And he's like, move. And I moved, and these guys with guns run in the house, and they run up the stairs, and my kids are up there, y'all, my little kids, and they are running around up the stairs, and these guys with guns are running up the stairs. So I said, you guys, he's coming up, they're coming up the stairs, because I didn't want my kids to get by somebody, okay? And one of the guys screamed, get the fuck against the wall. And I like he pushed me against the wall, and I'm like standing there. He's like, shut your fucking mouth. And I was like, what? And I was like, I didn't either. Like, where is he? Where is he? I'm like, I don't know where he is. I don't know. Where are my kids? Where are my kids? And they had taken my kids and thrown them in a room and slammed the door. And they like searched the house, and they ended up, I like see them like pulling him down the stairs. They get him down the stairs. He is handcuffed. They're dragging him out, and I'm like sobbing because where the fuck are my kids? And I was like, you guys have the wrong man. You have the wrong man. You guys, he's being framed. Like, you don't even understand. He's being framed. And as I say that, he like turns around, he looks at me, and he like gives me this look like, I will kill you. And I was like, he has been framed. And the investigator, or the lead investigator, was like, calm down. We're going to take him. You can come with us. You can come tell us in a little bit what you think has happened.